Sick and tired of your love-hate relationship with wine?
Welcome to the Feel It Alcohol-Free podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Ruby Williams.
And I'm Coach Susan Larkin.
We're two former wine lovers turned alcohol freedom coaches, exposing the lies about alcohol
and giving you, our listeners, the tools to break free so you can feel lit.
And when you're lit, you'll feel healthier, freer, and more in control of your life.
So relax, kick back, and get ready to feel lit alcohol-free.
And don't forget, grab a copy of our wine-free weekend guide after the show. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! 2024!
Yay! This is our first episode of our brand new Feel It Alcohol-Free podcast.
Yay! Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome.
So we know there are thousands and thousands of women out there who find themselves in this love-hate relationship with wine, and they just don't know what to do. At least that was me.
Yeah.
I was there.
Me too. Absolutely. Yeah. I did not know what to do, and I felt so alone. And we're here to share our stories with you so that you know you're not alone.
Yeah. So we're both alcohol freedom coaches, and we actually met in a self-compassion workshop, and we've been meeting and talking weekly and been friends and colleagues for 2 years.
2 years. I know. It's been really amazing.
And now we get to have a podcast together. So it's so exciting. Yeah.
Yes. It was so cool because you reached out to me. We're in this online workshop, and all of a sudden, somebody, hey, I know you. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that was so wonderful. It's so nice to be known. And like, I was so honored that you wanted to be my friend. So thank you. So this podcast, we are answering your questions. And today's question is, when did you notice your drinking was becoming a problem for you? So Ruby, I will ask you this question. You can start us off.
All right. Well, that's a good segue to like me sharing a little bit about myself and my journey. So, oh gosh, I guess I have to start with that I live in wine country. So wine was definitely what I drank. My stepdad was a winemaker. So every night wine was on the table. And then I ended up working in the wine industry for over 20 years. And I could take it or leave it at first. Maybe you can relate to that. Kind of snuck up on me. But when I really look back to when it started to be a problem was after bariatric surgery or weight loss surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So as a teenager, I used to numb my feelings with food. So I would say food was my first kind of like disorder or whatever you want to call that. But I would eat to numb my feelings. Oh gosh, I would say that was definitely something that I dealt with first. And what I want to say is, I think some of you may have I call it accelerator events, like events in your life that might have pushed you over, whether it's food or alcohol or any other kind of addictive thing. It might just push you over. You want to numb, or there's a lot of reasons why people drink. I ended up drinking for all of the reasons, but I want to tell you about weight loss surgery because after I had a home foreclosure, I had a child custody battle with my ex and with involving lawyers. It was really stressful. I took a corporate job, which was very stressful. And then I had some family things going on, and I was a single mom. You put all that together, and I just wanted to numb with food. And I gained over 100 pounds in a pretty short amount of time. And the solution, I wanted like a quick fix. I couldn't figure this out. So I had bariatric surgery or weight loss surgery. And it's so interesting. You might find this interesting, Susan, how it was different. It felt like different in my body so think about this. Your stomach gets like, your physical stomach is tiny, so you can't eat food anymore. That was like my coping tool.
Right.
I could still drink alcohol. And nothing changed in my thinking. I still wanted to numb.
Yeah.
So it just quickly for me switched from a food like addiction to more an alcohol addiction. And it felt different in my body. It was like, it felt like that buzz feeling was very immediate, but then it went away quickly. So I increased my alcohol, like 2 glasses, 3 glasses, a bottle, 2 bottles. It was going up and up and up. And then it switched to hard alcohol. But let me go back to the main question. Like, when did I know it was a problem? Probably 7 years before I actually did something about, like, really did something about it. I would just every day have this like cycle of, I'll stop tomorrow. I actually said those words every day. And I'll just stop tomorrow.
Yeah.
I need a glass tonight to relieve the stress from work. I'll stop tomorrow. Tomorrow. You could do that forever. You can do that for 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is so common that women with disordered eating, then it's called behavior swapping. And then they swap to disordered drinking. And I don't know if that's really common knowledge that a lot of women who have an eating disorder, and I had an eating disorder in high school and college as well. I was bulimic. And that, like, I don't know, I think it's even higher than this, but I think statistically it's like 35 to 40% of women who had an eating disorder can go on or will go on to develop an alcohol disorder.
Yes.
So I love using that same language though, disordered drinking, disordered eating. It just sounds
I like that.
It's disordered, right? But it's very common to behavior swap. So that's fascinating. I mean, I knew that, but I didn't know like all the details. And yeah, an accelerator event. Definitely my accelerator event was when I took a management level job. At the same time I was getting my MBA. My children were in high school and elementary school. And I was very stressed out. I took the place of someone who had been promoted. And so she wasn't over me, but I was in her position now. And she just criticized everything I did and did not like me. And I just came home every night and just drank over that. I was so stressed out. And, I just thought, well, that's what women, high powered business women do. We eat coffee in the morning and wine at night. And but it was definitely drinking for a coping mechanism. It wasn't social drinking. It was, and I didn't drink a lot before that. Drinking was more for like holidays, special events, vacations. I didn't drink in my daily life on a regular basis. I was very involved in our church. I was like, on the leadership team. I was for a while the church secretary. I was on the worship team. And our church just didn't include alcohol in our social events. And that was most of our social life revolved around the church at that time. And so when I started to notice that my drinking was a little bit getting out of control, honestly, and the times that I said I wasn't going to drink and then I did drink anyway, I started to just feel like this is more than I knew what the weekly, acceptable amount is for women. I was aware of that. And I was aware of the increase of breast cancer for increasing, the increase of breast cancer for
But there's those antioxidants, so it's good for you, right?
Right. Yeah, I hung on all that too.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. So, but I knew, and so I went to my pastor and said, I think that I might be drinking a little too much. And I just kind of wanted some guidance. And they're like, well, if you think you have a problem with alcohol, you probably do. You should go to AA.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
told that too. Go to AA.
Yeah, I thought, okay. I just felt like it was also sort of I don't know. I just was like, I was shocked. And I went to a meeting and I just cried when I left the meeting on all the way home, just like, okay, like the disease model. I'm just like, all of a sudden I didn't feel like I fit in there, but I still went. I found a sponsor. I tried to go mostly to women's meetings, but I just never quite bought into that I had this disease. Like I was just like, and it just made me feel even more defective. And so I just felt like I was hiding. Like I would go so far, like towns and towns away to go to meetings. So I wouldn't see anyone I knew. I was so embarrassed. I was so ashamed. Yet at the same time, I was in this black and white thinking of like, I'm good if I don't drink and I'm bad if I do drink. And it was very black and white.
Right.
And feeling also like I'm a terrible Christian because how come I can't give up alcohol for God? You know what I mean? Like what kind of, you know what I mean? Like I just knew I was just so struggling and so feeling so ashamed of myself and just hiding that I was quitting drinking. And, and then when I quit AA, then I was hiding that I was drinking. So I was just always hiding. I was always feeling
Me too.
like
Always hiding.
yeah,
Yeah.
feeling like I had this shame cloud over my head everywhere I went. So then I quit AA at a certain point, just feeling like I felt like I could moderate, and I did for a while. But I could tell it was a problem the first time I drank again. I mean, it was just like, but I just was kidding myself, that I could moderate, but I really gave it the old college try. Let me tell you, I dug my heels in. I was going to get back to being a normal drinker if it killed me, whatever a normal drinker is now,
Right.
that I know better. But so I dug in, and then I had a second accelerator event, which was when we bought this music studio. And so I'm working full time still in my stressful job. My kids are growing. I think my daughter was in college by then. My son's now in high school. We bought this music studio. So I'm working full time. I'm going to the music studio at night, teaching voice lessons, starting a nonprofit theater group, trying to do the social media and everything for the business to get more business. We would work there till like 9 o'clock at night, go to this restaurant down the street because we hadn't eaten dinner, have terrible bar food. And they had like this nighttime happy hour from like 9 to close where you could get 2 glasses for the price of one. So I'd have 2 ginormous, when they ask you if you want the 6-ounce pour, the 9-ounce pour, the 13-ounce pour.
Yeah.
You have to ask, it's like, bring it on, babe, And so I'm having these ginormous glasses of wine at night and then going home and going to bed. Well, that pretty soon started to accelerate to me drinking some wine in my car before going between work, full-time work, and then going to the studio to start doing the work there, because it was just like, I just felt like I needed it. I was tired. And so for me, alcohol helped me power through. I would say now, looking back, alcohol kept me in a state of burnout. You cannot live like that.
Yeah.
2 jobs. Like I felt like I was drinking in order to power through, to do all the things that I needed to do. And it kept me in a state of burnout. When I finally quit drinking was during COVID, and both my husband and I, we ended up at that time, right before I quit drinking, having to close the music studio because of COVID. And then that whole summer, both of us were just so in shock of how burned out we were. Like we did not even know how burned out we were from that whole process. So that was, for me, that was drinking. And same. It was like 5. Well, there was like the first event, and between the 2 accelerated events, there was like 2 years. And then there was another 5 years between 2015 and 2020 when I really started exploring my drinking in 2019. And then I went fully alcohol free in June of 2020. And so, yeah, it was a lot. And I'm so relieved and so grateful that I finally found freedom, because just to not hide anymore, just the feeling like to get out of that shame spiral is like, I didn't realize how, I did realize how my life, I wasn't living, because that's where I decided to make that change. I woke up one morning and said, again, I'm probably going to, it was like, who cares? That's why I woke up like, who cares?
Yeah.
And then I went, wait a minute, I care. I do not want to live like this anymore. And I was like, and I need to do something about it. And that was just like, boom. And then everything changed because I wasn't living, And so that's why I love that we are naming this podcast the Feel Lit Podcast, because for me, I feel more lit now, alcohol free, than I ever did when I was drinking. And I know, like, feel lit, like being lit is what we usually we refer to that as when somebody's been drinking, that they're getting lit. But I feel more lit living an alcohol free lifestyle, and I love this name.
I love it too. Yeah. And for me, feeling lit is living to my full potential. It's stepping outside my comfort zone. I started a new career as an alcohol freedom coach. It's waking up each morning like energized and just grateful to be alive, because the exact opposite was happening when I was drinking. Just actually waking up feeling hopeless and in despair every day. So I
Yeah.
really, really feel so good and energized and ignited and all those
On
words
fire.
on fire.
On
So
fire.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say one more thing about our name. If you say it fast, it's feel it. Like feel
Oh,
it.
yeah. Feel it.
Like we
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
feel
Feel
again instead
it.
of numbing. We want to feel the feelings, all the feelings.
Yeah.
There's no bad feelings. They're all just feelings. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll
And
talk
that's a
about that
huge,
later. Yeah.
yeah, but that's a huge part of this experience is, they say the great thing about sobriety is you feel your feelings. The bad thing about sobriety is you feel your feelings. But that's what we need for emotional safety, emotional security is to learn that there are, like you said, there's no bad feelings, that we are capable of dealing with any feeling. And when you have that feeling, like, you don't need an outside substance to help you deal with anything. That is so empowering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's why we're here. We just are here for any sober, curious women who feel like they're drinking too much and are starting to question it.
And it's not easy to go through this journey alone.
So,
So each week, we're going to be giving you encouragement, strategies, and tips.
yeah.
And we're also going to give you inspiration. And we want to answer your questions. So that's kind of the format.
Yeah, we'd love your questions. So if you're asking, like, okay, yeah, I relate to your stories, I relate to Ruby's story, I relate to Susan's story, and you're wondering, where do I start? Like us, we were both lost. We didn't know. And that's why we're here too, is just offer these things to those of you who are like, I don't know what to do. And the great place to start is just to start asking questions, start questioning, why am I drinking? Is it serving me? And, I always was asking, like, is it bad enough for me to have to do something about it? But maybe the question is it good enough to stay the same? Like, I got to the point where my life was not good enough. I needed to make a change,
Yeah. And just to get super curious. Like I'd love for, just that's the first step. Get curious. Ask those questions. Susan gave some good ones. Let me think of some other ones. Like, am I living up to my full potential? Is alcohol holding me back?
Yeah.
From living authentically, or am I living up to my full values? Like my values of I was hiding, and I felt like I was hiding and lying and not living up to my standards or who I wanted to become. Are you giving too much control to alcohol? Like all of these questions.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Authenticity is
Yeah.
so amazing. Because even in my case of using alcohol to power through all those things weren't my things, I realized. You know what I mean? Like when you say authenticity, that just really speaks to me, because I really started looking and it's like the music studio wasn't really my thing, but I was giving actually alcohol was keeping me from even having dreams. Like, what are my dreams? What are my goals? What lights me up? I was just doing, what I thought I should do, okay, take this job. It's a good job, power through, do my best, always try to achieve. That was me. But am I achieving something that is my dream, is my desire? And becoming alcohol free allowed me to start dreaming, allowed me to start looking at things in a different way. And
for me, it was more like survival mode. I mean, when I was drinking, it was more just survival. Like, okay, I'm gonna, make sure my child. I was a single mom. Like my child's fed. We have a roof over our head. Like all the basic needs. But the things that really fueled me were just and self care. None of that was happening.
Yeah,
I was just coming home, drinking, passing out, watching TV, and then beating myself up. So it's just that cycle kept me from living in Technicolor, living like my dreams. And this is what okay. So feeling lit is living in Technicolor and living your dreams and owning your mornings and sleeping well. Oh, go sleep. We didn't mention that, but oh my gosh, sleep is amazing. Okay. Yeah. So in every episode, we're also going to just answer, what do we do? Like, what do we do to feel lit?
Yeah. Self-care.
Yeah.
Yes. So let me ask you that, Ruby, then. What do you do? What is one of the things that you do in your self-care routine or just in your life that helps you feel lit?
I just started to end my showers with cold, freezing water. It's so fun. So I start my shower just regular with warm water. And then at the end, I like do some Wim Hof breathe, like, and then I turn it on to the coldest I can. And I try to stay there as long as I can, but it feels so good. I know it's cold, but it's like, it wakes me up. I feel all like giddy and like excited. And I also think it might make us look a little younger. It might be
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll try it then.
Less wrinkles. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I know it's supposed to reset your vagus nerve and it's good for your central nervous system. When you said Wim Hof, I have done a cold plunge after I did a Wim Hof workshop, but
so cool.
So it was really cool. But so Ferdinand and Andres and Ferdinand were the two men doing this workshop. And so Ferdinand was holding my hand and with me the whole time. And I mean, yeah, I could do that with Ferdinand holding my hands. I remember because I was in Spain. This was at an alcohol-free retreat, which was like a gift to myself after a year of being alcohol free. And I sent a video to my husband. He's like, "Who's that Jesus looking guy?" And I'm like, "That's Ferdinand." He's like, "I can't believe you're getting in that ice water." But I did that, but I cannot seem to get it into my daily life routine. So you are inspiring me to give it another try. Right. I'll just have to imagine Ferdinand in my shower or something.
Cold water therapy is an actual recovery tool and technique. And I'd love to talk about it at a future episode too, a little more, because I do ocean plunges too. We'll just share that more later in more episodes. Yeah.
I think we'll have a special guest for that one. So sometimes we'll have guests, but every week we will answer your questions, and every week we will answer this question, what we do to feel lit. And tomorrow's episode, we will answer the question, what are the major challenges that we face or that you face in exploring your drinking? So I hope that you will come and listen tomorrow. Tune in to hear us answer that question and hear more about our stories and more about what we do to feel lit.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, and just Happy New Year. And I'm so excited to start this new year off with Susan and the Feel Lit Alcohol-Free podcast.
Yay.
All right. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Feel Lit Alcohol-Free podcast. Do you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show?
All you need to do is head over to Apple Podcasts and do two simple things. Leave a rating and review telling us what you think of the show. And in that review, ask us any questions you have about breaking free from wine or living an alcohol-free lifestyle.
That's it. Then tune in to hear your question answered live. Don't forget to grab your copy of A Wine-Free Weekend at www.feelitpodcasts.com.
And remember, do something today that will help you feel lit.
See you next time.